Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Slegaitis-Smith and this is a channel where we like to talk about writing, learning, and creating. Today we are diving into the wonderful world of flash fiction. Flash fiction is a form of fiction that has actually been around for a really long time, although the term itself is much newer. Back in the 1920s, it was still called short stories, but shortly thereafter, there ended up being a delineation between what counts as a short story and what counts as flash fiction. The main thing being word count. Word count is important no matter what you are doing. It's important for the length of the specific project you're doing, whether it's a novel, whether it's a short story, whether it's novella, etc. But also there are specific word counts related to specific genres. And for flash fiction, the limit is 1,000 words or less. Now, this 1,000 words or less can show up in a bunch of different ways and has been popularized in where people can go as short as crazy is possible to be short in fiction. The most famous of which is the 6-word stories. The most famous 6-word story is Brand New Baby Shoes Never Worn. It's been attributed to many different authors, including Ernest Hemingway. But what is important about this story is the fact that in just 6 words, the reader is able to come up with a whole backstory to this phrase in their mind. And that is what the 6-word story is all about. It's about the context that the reader can provide for themselves outside of what is written on the page. So it might be a short or fragmented sentence, but it still holds a depth of meaning that you could find in a much larger piece. Another popular short form of flash fiction is the 150 character challenge, where it was popularized by Twitter and the fact that you were only able to use about 150 characters in order to create any given post. So people started applying that to fiction and putting stories into this very limited form of writing. There are even a bunch of hashtags related to this, including 150 character novel, hashtag flash fiction, and there's even a whole contest that Twitter holds annually called hashtag NYC Midnight, in which people are writing these very short forms of fiction. Because of the fact that flash fiction can go up to 1,000 words, writers will choose somewhere in between the 6-word range and the 1,000-word range to write their stories. And flash fiction is very popular in the sense that often writers treat it as a challenge to themselves. How can they create this well-crafted story in so few words? There are also other ways that you can apply flash fiction in which you don't have to just stick to one individual piece. There is such thing as a novel or novella in flash, which is where you take a bunch of small flash pieces and you put them together into one book. In order to accomplish this, either it will be a bunch of flash stories following the same storyline, maybe looking from different characters' perspectives, maybe not, or there has to be some big overarching theme across all of the flashes that link them together, even if they're not from like the same story world. Either way, you can end up having a whole novella or novel by using all these individual little flash stories, which is pretty cool. One example that I can think of is the Dubliners book by James Joyce. It's a little bit on the older side, but there are very many modern novellas and novels in flash as well. In Dubliners in particular, it is following an overarching theme or overarching subcontext between the different stories, where all of them have a link to a specific place, but it is mostly the fact that there is this theme of paralysis that overarches throughout all the stories. Some of it is a physical paralysis, some of it's emotional, but it's still a theme that arches over all of the short stories that are put together into one book. It is considered short stories because, once again, the term flash fiction is a little bit more new. But there are plenty of wonderful new authors that are doing this kind of work, and I will pop a few names up on the screen. I hope you enjoyed this short introduction to flash fiction. Maybe even you got the courage to try it yourself. If you have a favorite Flash fiction piece or a favorite novel or novella in Flash, please feel free to share those in the comments below so that we can add those to our reading list. Other than that, please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great one until the next one.